If a channel like Mr. Beast, and I love that channel, it's fun, you typically need about 1 million views to generate $10,000 of revenue. Now, there's other variables that could be higher or lower depending on different factors, but that's typically what I'm talking about is advertising revenue that you can get paid from YouTube, right? All the ads that are shown around it, and you can get a percentage of that. Another way is through sponsorships. So that's typically the focus of channels like that, or vlogs. There's some vlogs that I really enjoy following, and that's how they make revenue. But what I'm talking about is you're making videos that attract people who are searching for you and for your expertise. And if you have, say, a $10,000 program, maybe it's a 6-month program that you can really help people accomplish great results. You only need about 100 views from the right type of traffic to have that turn into 10 leads that will turn into 3 conversations that will turn into one that's a right fit and wants to hire you.
You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question. What has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling. I'm the business psychologist, the author of the 4-Week Vacation and the How to Hire the Best series, as well as the founder of Tap the Potential, where we coach entrepreneurs like you to design sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. Because after all, we believe work supports life, not the other way around. Weekly on the Profit by Design podcast, we bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Profit by Design podcast. As we start today, I'm curious, is YouTube part of your marketing strategy? And if it's not, what are you missing out on? And if you are on YouTube, are you using it effectively? So some interesting statistics about YouTube is that it's the second most popular website in the world. It's ranked as the second most popular social network, and it's the only platform that has more users than YouTube is Facebook. It's also just one of 4 social networks that has a user base of more than 2 billion people. 82% of adults in the United States say they are on YouTube. Every day, people watch 1 billion hours of video on YouTube. And so if you think about that and we break that down and do the math, that's about 8.4 minutes per day per person. So another interesting fact, and I bet our guest today is going to get into this, is that searches related to the term how to on YouTube are growing by 70% year over year. So is YouTube part of your marketing strategy? If it's not, you probably want to listen in today. And if you are on YouTube, you also want to listen today because we're going to learn how to be much more effective on YouTube. My guest today that I'm bringing in is Nate Woodbury. Nate is a producer at last count of over 50 YouTube channels. All of them focus on generating leads for their corresponding businesses. And I think one of the things that's really interesting to know about this is that some of those channels are generating 6 figures annually, some generate 6 figures monthly, and several generate 7 figures monthly. So Nate's here with us today. He's going to pull back the curtain to teach us his entire strategy so that you can learn how to do the same things in your business. So Nate, welcome to the Profit by Design podcast.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you having me here. This is the real deal. I'm going to pull back the curtains.
Yay. So you and I got into a conversation at the National Speakers Association over lunch when we were in Florida together. And you shared with me this unique strategy that you're using on YouTube. And you sent me a video to watch afterwards. And I was blown away at the simplicity of your strategy and how powerful it is. But it's something that I think most of us business owners would overlook, and we wouldn't necessarily do it effectively on our own. So Tell me a little bit about what businesses, in your experience, are ideal for YouTube.
Well, there are a lot of businesses built around their expertise. They've really figured something out. They've had a lot of experience and wisdom. And so they've built their business teaching others or helping others with that expertise. And so therefore, when we talk about, the how-to content that you mentioned, that's an amazing statistic where that's growing so much because people know they can go to YouTube and find answers. Well, if you've got answers, if your businesses that you've created provide those answers and provide those solutions, then you can use YouTube to bridge that gap. You can make content that answers those questions and put it on YouTube. So, at the surface, that sounds pretty simple, and it is, but there's some steps that you've got to take before you film or before you plan out your videos that they're pretty simple, but they're not the funnest. You just got to get in there and do a little bit of research, but then you'll find these questions that people are asking. And so you make a how-to video that just answers that specific question. And that's actually the hardest part. So once you've done that, you put that video on YouTube and you'll start to get the right audience. You'll start to generate leads.
I love this. So are you teaching paid traffic or organic?
100% organic. A little background of how I figured this out. So if we rewind over a decade ago, I offered a web design service and a website SEO service. So we got clients' websites ranked on the top of Google. And then I noticed something. I noticed that the video that we'd created as a part of this SEO service, the video over on YouTube was getting 50 times more views than this page ranking number one on Google. And it was just one piece instead of this whole, big chore. I love following the results. I ended up pivoting my focus, pivoting my whole business, phased out those other services, and just focused on YouTube because think of it this way. With website SEO, you're trying to build the authority of your website to make it look like it's more and more important. Well, YouTube is, you just said, it's the second largest website, right? You can't have a website with more authority than that. And if you make the right type of video, it then appears on the top of YouTube and it appears on the top of Google just by you having the right strategy with your video. So it's all organic. You don't have to promote it or anything like that.
All right. So let's get into the strategy. Walk us through how we start generating leads from YouTube.
Okay, so typically when we're talking about lead generation, we think about marketing and promotion and outreach and even, sales calls or cold calling or things like that. Getting referrals. Referrals are wonderful to get. What I'm talking about is all we do is we make videos that will generate referral quality leads for us. So how do we do that? Well, the first part I've kind of shared, and you have to find these questions. That becomes the title of your video. It might be how to invest in real estate with no money, or how to get your kids to listen without yelling if you're a parenting expert, right? So you find these real specific questions. Well, then you just map out an outline, say about 10 minutes long of content to really answer that question. When you start your video, it's good to let people know why this video is so valuable. So if your content is how to get your kids to listen without yelling, then you might at the beginning say something like, all right, as we dive into this topic, how to get your kids to listen without yelling, I want you to know that I've got 20 years of experience in coaching parents and transforming their parenting. And so this tip on how to get your kids to listen without yelling, you're going to know the step-by-step process of how to do that by the end of this video, right? So I didn't sell anything that's charging money, but I really sold the value of this video that I'm about to deliver, right? We call that setting hooks. So you set a hook and then deliver on it. Really give value over that next 10 minutes or so. And then at the end of your video, again, you're not selling anything, but you've got to sell a free gift, okay? So at the end of the video, it might be, all right, so I've created, in this parenting example, let's say I've created a script. Now, this might seem weird to use scripting in your parenting, but if you follow these words, whenever your children act out this way, just follow this outline and it's going to work miracles. Hey, you can get the PDF down below. Just click that link and it's yours for free. All right, whatever that gift is, it could be a training. It could be a pre-recorded webinar that like, man, I gave this webinar. It was so valuable. It will cover this in way more depth. You can watch it for free here. It could be a free plus shipping book. So they cover the shipping cost, but you give them your book for free. That's something I do often. So what that does is they've watched this 10-minute video, they've received value, and now you're giving them more value for free, right? But they become a lead. They give you their name and their email. Sometimes they give you their phone number, and they become a part of your community. And the reason that I say that these are like referral quality type leads, typically people watch several of your episodes before taking that step, before getting your free gift. And so they've seen you in a few different scenarios. They've received value from you. So they feel like they know you in these videos. It's just like a one-on-one conversation on Zoom or FaceTime or something. And so by the time you're having a conversation with these people after the fact, they're really excited to work with you. They know who you are.
Yeah, you're speeding up the relationship building. And, back in the day, before we had Zoom, we used to do a lot of in-person networking. Now we have video that allows us to connect with people. It's not the same as in person, but we're seeing faces, we're seeing body language, and it makes us feel much more comfortable. And it's one way to be different and break free from a lot of the digital marketing that is going on out there. So I'm curious, from your perspective, there's a lot of businesses that have some presence on YouTube, but they're not as honed and refined as what you're describing here. What are some of the things that you see when you look at businesses on YouTube where you just see, oh my gosh, if they would just change one or two things, like what are some of those simple mistakes that we could stop making and be more effective?
Well, a lot of times the focus is on views. I've got to do something that's going to get the most amount of views. And we see a lot of channels like that are entertaining, like Mr. Beast, one of the biggest YouTube channels out there, right? We love it. And so we think, okay, I've got to make content like that, or, whatever it is. Maybe we don't go to that extent, but for a business, we try and, be somebody else or do something that's, but then we put that video on YouTube and it gets crickets. We don't have a built-in audience. And then another challenge that I see is we don't have consistency with any type of content. We might, might have a podcast, and that's great. But we put that podcast recording on YouTube, and at the same time, we experiment with some shorts because apparently shorts are all the rage today. And so I must be doing it, and I'll put a video of me dancing or something, and maybe that'll get me a lot of views and generate referrals. And so the biggest thing that I see is just a lot of kind of confusion and inconsistency on what they should do and hoping for something to go viral, where here's the reality. If you were to follow my strategy and you were to get 100 views from search, that's actually enough to generate about $10,000 of revenue.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, like if a channel like Mr. Beast, and I love that channel, it's fun, you typically need about 1 million views to generate $10,000 of revenue. Now, there's other variables that could be higher or lower depending on different factors, but that's typically what I'm talking about is advertising revenue that you can get paid from YouTube, right? All the ads that are shown around it, and you can get a percentage of that. Another way is through sponsorships. So that's typically the focus of channels like that, or vlogs. There's some vlogs that I really enjoy following, and that's how they make revenue. But what I'm talking about is you're making videos that attract people who are searching for you and for your expertise. And if you have, say, a $10,000 program, maybe it's a 6-month program that you can really help people accomplish great results, you only need about 100 views from the right type of traffic to have that turn into 10 leads that will turn into 3 conversations that will turn into one that's a right fit and wants to hire you.
So, and this is all about being much more targeted. And I so appreciate what you're saying, that you're telling me I don't have to dance on video on YouTube. Whew, glad. And I'm also really glad to hear it's not about the number of views. It's really about finding the questions that people who are our ideal clients are asking and creating very specific content. And the how-to question is really the kind of the key piece to that. And one of the things too that I have been much more aware of as we are being more intentional with our presence on YouTube at Tap the Potential is that it's important to dive into the topic right away. So like on podcasts, sometimes there's a lot of banter at the beginning and you're going to lose people. That's a lost opportunity. And as you gave that example, the parenting example, I heard you do that. You went straight to it and you said, this is what you're going to learn how to. You said it like 2 or 3 times in just your first few sentences. Is that is part of the strategy as well?
Yeah. What's really helpful in YouTube analytics is you can look at each episode and see where people start to drop off, like when you're keeping their attention and if you say something when it drops. And so I've gotten a lot better at it, and I've really coached my clients and see them improve their retention rates. It's really important to jump right into it and start giving value. And what I described earlier, kind of selling it or giving them a hook. If people are going to watch a 10-minute episode, they have to understand why. Like, okay, I came here with this question, and isn't that something you can just tell me? Like, why should I watch a 10-minute episode? So if you lay it out and you say, well, over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be sharing this, and then I'm going to give you 2 examples. I'm going to share you 2 other steps, and then I'm going to wrap it up with, right? So it's like a table of contents, but in a way that creates curiosity. And then you really start delivering on that, and they, ooh, that was a good point. He was right. And oh, that was good too. Then you have a higher likelihood of them watching all the way to the end, where you have that free gift, that call to action.
So is that part of the strategy too? Is that the call to action is at the end and not the beginning, or do you ever mix it up?
It's okay to mix it up, but typically we do have it at the end because that's where it fits the most. If you say, okay, now that you understand, we'll just use the parenting example. Now that you understand how to get your kids to listen without yelling, I've actually got an entire parenting resource that I want to give you for free. It's just a nice natural place. If you hint at it early on, I work as a good hook. It's like, and I've got a resource. I'll share with that after I teach this principle. You can hint at things that really let people know how valuable it is.
Okay, got it. So what revenue numbers are realistic from this type of strategy?
Well, the first thing you have to look at is what's a realistic revenue for your business? Because YouTube, the strategy that I'm teaching here, YouTube is not your business. YouTube is a tool that you're leveraging to really get your information out there, to build interest, to build that following around that, and to generate leads for your business. You could be generating, dozens of leads every single day, but if you don't have anything to sell, or you don't know how to sell it, or you don't know how to have those conversations, then your revenue is going to be really slow or really low, and growth will be slow. But if you have a business and you're generating, let's say you've crossed the 6-figure line and you've generated 6 figures, well, with YouTube, you could probably add another 6 figures of revenue. It's not an overnight thing. We're talking typically to add another 6 figures might be 6 to 12 months. If your business is generating 7 figures, it's actually very realistic to add another 7 figures of revenue within that same 12-month horizon. And I've done that on many channels. So that is really the deciding factor. YouTube is it's like if you build the fire and you've got a campfire you've built, and then you come and you pour fuel on it, the flames will get bigger. But if all you've done is you've got a few sticks, but there's not really any sparks, you just come and pour the fuel on it, and it just gets the sticks or the logs wet. There's no real fire there. So you have to have momentum in your business and a knowledge of what to do. And then when people come to you, you'll really be able to help them.
This is music to the listeners' ears, Nate, because most of our listeners at the Profit by Design podcast are established business owners. So they have their foundation, and you're talking about now the fuel that we can add to the fire to grow the business and attract. One of the things that we love teaching is how to attract your ideal clients, not just any client or customer, but those ideal clients, because that's part of driving the profit in the business. And one of the reasons I've been attracted to YouTube and really want us to have the potential to be exploring it more is because I find that the business owners we work best with are the ones who want to learn, and they want to improve themselves, and they're dedicated to continuous improvement. So when people are on YouTube, they're there to learn. Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes they're there for entertainment. But if you're searching for something specifically, you want to learn. And you're looking for that teacher and that guide and that mentor who's going to help you. So Nate, what's different in your strategy than other YouTube channels?
Well, I've got a book right here of a friend of mine whose strategy is brilliant. In fact, at the bottom of his book, you'll see foreword by Mr. Beast.
Oh, cool.
Daryl Leaves wrote this book, and he's the one that helped coach Jimmy, the Mr. Beast, to grow his channel from 1 million to 170 million, whatever it is right now. And he's helped many other channels, and that strategy does work. But again, it's the biggest thing that's different is the focus. Do you want to have YouTube be your business and have the revenue be from ads and from sponsorships? Or do you really want to leverage your expertise and grow a following that will generate leads for your business?
That's it. Yeah. And I'm not interested in being Mr. Beast. That's not my focus. We want to use YouTube to grow the business. And I would imagine most of our profit designers listening, that would be their focus too, is how do we use YouTube to grow the business?
Another insight that I can share that will kind of point out the difference, because we focus so much on the huge numbers, like, oh, I'm not successful if I haven't got 10 million views on this video, or even 50,000 or something, right? Is if we make a video and let's say that video gets 30 views a month, that seems like such a small number. If that 30 views a month is bringing in a few leads every month, that's actually pretty cool if it's bringing in your target audience. And but what you can do is you make a second video. And we'll just use that same number. Let's say every video, they all range. Some will bring in 10 a month, some will bring in 100 a month, but let's just say 30, right? Just so now you're getting 30 views a month, but you make a second video. Now you're getting 30 plus 30, so 60, and then 90, and then 120, and then 150. So if you make more and more videos, each video is bringing in a little trickle of traffic, but if you stay consistent with it, it ends up being a fire hose of traffic, because the videos don't stop all of a sudden. Videos that you filmed 5 years back are still bringing in that same trickle of traffic. So over time, it just builds more and more momentum.
You're speaking my language. I hear consistency. And one of our mottos at Tap the Potential is small steps forward, taken in a consistent direction, lead to big change in a relatively short period of time. And so you're talking about this layering effect of these different videos and how they come together and build that momentum. And you gave a time frame, it's not going to lead to an overnight burst of revenue, but 6 to 12 months from now, it could add another 6 figures. If you're a 6-figure business, if you're a 7-figure business, it could add another 7 figures. That's really powerful. All right, Nate, I know that our viewers and listeners are very curious to learn more about this, and you have a resource you want to share with them.
Yeah, so I have my book, and I put 2 years of work into it. In fact, it's full color, because with YouTube, I took a lot of screenshots of things that I really wanted to show. I give this book away for free. Now, I have you cover costs. So the printing and the shipping cost, as long as you cover that, there's no profit to me, then that's my gift to you. You can go to natesyoutubebook.com.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Nate. That's a great resource. I want to just share that we've got Carson here in the chat, and he picked up on small steps forward, taken in a consistent direction, lead to big change, and the consistency on YouTube, Nate. I think that's a huge takeaway that I know I'm taking with me. I want to encourage our viewers to be sure to subscribe to the Dr. Sabrina Starling channel on YouTube so you don't miss any episodes. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. Next week, we have Denise Gable joining us, and we are going to have a fascinating discussion about how to light the fire under your A players. So remember, A players are already highly motivated. Denise is the author of Can-Doology, and she speaks about the can-do mindset, which is the mindset of A players on our teams. So she and I are going to have a fascinating discussion around this. I encourage you to not just tune in for yourself, but bring your team members to the conversation. So we'll see you there. Nate, thank you again for being with us.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for spending time with me today. Join me in our Tap the Potential Mighty Networks community at tapthepotential.com/group. Share your aha moments from today's episode, ask me questions, and join in on the fun with your fellow entrepreneurs on the journey to designing sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. Isn't it time you take your life back? And finally, share today's episode with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this.